Okay, so I think I'm back. Yep, I'm definitely back. So we'll quickly. Okay, so in the first lesson we looked at some negative prefixes, and we saw that prefixes are used to modify the root or the stem that a word that it connects to. In the first half we looked at negative prefixes, and then we finished by looking at directions and prefixes which show directions. Have a quick look at your screen. Which of those do you think actually, what are the prefixes? Sorry, what are the prefixes used in each word? Feel free to put it up in the chat. Okay, I'm having a problem. Okay, so I think I'm back. I'm not sure. Okay, so I can't see anything again. Actually, let's open up in a new link. Might be better. Oh, there I am. Okay, I apologize again. Slight technical problems. I'm an old man. It's not easy working from home these days. Okay, so as I was saying before we broke for a break, and we looked at some basic directions: up, down, into, out of, forward, backwards, etc., etc. I'm going to give you just a quick second to have a look at these words and tell me if you can actually find the prefixes used in each one. I'll give you just a few seconds. Okay, in export we have X. In import we have im. In contract and cooperate we have con and co. In reverse we have re. In provide we have pro. And in decrease we have d. And in subway we have sub. And all of these prefixes are giving us a basic idea as to what the direction of that root or stem is going. I'm going to put some of those directions at the bottom of the screen now. There we go. Forward, down, together with, into, under, below, or back. I'm going to give you just maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 seconds to have a look at those. and see which prefix has which meaning in terms of direction. Okay, so the X in export, of course, means out of. And if we look at this word, export, things that Turkey exports, for example, Turkey exports tea, and it also exports fındık diyecektim. It also exports hazelnuts to other countries. And if we look at the one below, it says im, and that means into. So Turkey exports goods outside of the country, but it also imports goods into the country. For example, technology from China and Japan. In the next word, we have contract and cooperate, and the prefix for that was con and co, and they both mean together with. Actually, we have other prefixes with the same meaning, con and col, and con and col, which also mean together with, such as company or collection. In the next word, we had reverse, and the prefix for that word was re, and re means back, to go in a backward direction. Below we have provide, and the prefix for that is pro. And the meaning of pro is very, very common actually, especially if you're studying for the TOEFL exam or any of the academic exams, you'll see this prefix again and again and again. And pro means to move forward. And if we think about that word provide, to provide someone with something, to provide a student with a pen and paper. When we give the pen or paper to the student, that action moves forward from the teacher to the student. If we look at the word reverse, we can drive forward, and when we drive backwards, we are reversing the car. Here in decrease, we saw that the prefix was actually D, and this is one I think Sumya had earlier. D, she said that it was a negative word, but here it actually means in a downward movement. Then we have subway, and of course the prefix in subway is sub, and that means under or below. Subway, another example would be submarine, something which travels under the sea. Actually, mar in submarine means sea. So let's move on with prefixes with other meanings. We have universe. Below that we have transatlantic, which is a word we saw earlier. And again, we have this word here, pre-intermediate with the hyphen. Then we have anti-establishment and pro-democracy. Again, all three of these with a hyphen, basically because these words, intermediate, establishment, and democracy, they are all noun forms. And the same for ex-girlfriend too. We have this hyphen because girlfriend is actually a noun form. So I'm going to put the meanings of those words. Whoops, sorry. Well, okay, I'll do the first one for you. We've got universe, and the prefix we're using there is uni. I'm going to give everybody a couple of seconds to go through the other words and see if they can identify the prefixes. Okay, so we have, I'm trying to close the camera, we have transatlantic, and of course the prefix there is trans. In the next one we have pre-intermediate, and of course, as I've already discussed, it's pre. And then we have anti-establishment. Of course, it's anti. In American English, they pronounce it as anti. Actually, in some English dialects, they also pronounce it as anti. If you go to the north of England, which is, of course, where the American way of pronouncing things originates from. Then we have pro, as in pro-democracy. And finally, we have ex-girlfriend. So I'm going to put underneath the meanings of these. I'm going to give you maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds to connect the meanings below with their prefixes above. Again, as I was saying earlier, here we have this ate suffix, pre-intermediate. It's not pronounced ate, it's pronounced ut, pre-intermediate. Again, this suffix here, meant. It's not establishment, it's actually establishment. Of course, we have democracy. We've got a very small, quiet sound there. Democracy, not democracy. And then we have ex-girlfriend. We don't have a similar sound there. Okay, so universe. Any guesses? Universe means one. And trans means across. Transatlantic. If a boat leaves from the UK and travels to America, it needs to travel across the Atlantic Ocean, hence transatlantic. Then we have pre-intermediate, which means before intermediate or before the intermediate level. Then we have anti-establishment, meaning to be against. Anti-abortion, for example, those who are against abortion. And then we have the opposite of this, which is pro, which means in support of, or to be for something. Again, I want to just draw your attention to this prefix here. It also has another meaning. Do you remember the meaning? It means before, which is shade, not before. It means forward, to move forward, as in product. And then X, of course. Ooh, got that one wrong. Sorry. X means former, or the one before. How did I do that? Okay, let's quickly move on to the next one. Whoop, that's the end. Sorry, that last one's wrong. That's my mistake. So that's prefixes. Let's continue with roots. I'll just open up the next file. Now, roots are absolutely amazing. When we look at learning vocabulary, the traditional methods, we have to learn hundreds and hundreds of words which aren't actually related with each other. Roots, however, are more common. If we just quickly move on, I'll open up the presentation. There we go. Roots are actually more common. It's possible from one particular root, like rot, to create not just one word, but hundreds of words. The advantage is that we learn one root, and by knowing the meaning of that root, we have access to a great deal of vocabulary that we don't necessarily need to learn or know to begin with. So let's have a look at roots in more detail. To give you an idea as to how roots work, we're going to look at a Turkish example. We'll look at a Turkish example very shortly, but we know that roots and stems, they're part of the word that the prefix and suffix attach to. The only difference between a root and stem is that a root has a meaning that can be found in many different words, whereas a stem is slightly less useful in terms of meaning. We'll have a look at a Turkish example now. Actually, we've got a number of words. We have pencere, we have çerçeve, we have çarşı, we have çarmıh. And all of these words are actually related by a Persian root known as jar. And jar, in all of those words, give those words the same or similar meaning. Can anybody guess the meaning of that root? Well, the meaning of that root is for. If we look at pencere, a pencere or window has four sides, top, bottom, left, and right. A çerçeve or frame actually has four sides too. A çarşı is a place that we can approach from four directions. We can approach it from the north, the south, the east, and the west. And çarmıh, well, m means now. So çarmıh, as in the Christian cross, we have four nows. Let's have another look at another example. Hamal, hamile, hamil, hamle. Again, the root here is hamle. And this can be found in all of these words, and it gives the same meaning. Can anybody guess the meaning of this one? Well, it means to carry. Hamal is something that someone carries. Hamile, a woman who is pregnant, she's carrying a child. Hamil, an old Turkish word. Kart hamili, someone who carries a card. And hamle, a move in chess or a board game where we carry the piece from one square to another square. Turkish and English are very different, however. In Turkish, we have, of course, Persian influences, and a lot of roots come from the Arabic language too. Jar was an example of a Persian root in Turkish, and Hamlet was a example of an Arabic root in Turkish. Please forgive my Arabic if any of my Arabic friends are watching, and my Persian, actually. In English, however, we have two different influences. The English language has been influenced over the years by many, many different languages, but in terms of science and in terms of modern language, the two biggest contributors have been the Greek language and, of course, the Latin language. And that's where we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at Greek and Latin roots and how they can help us understand the meaning of a word. Up to 50% of the English language is made up of these Greek and Latin roots. And you only really need to know the meaning of maybe 50 or maybe 100 in order to have access to a great deal of the English language. So let's have a look at roots in action. Let's have a look at an example. Where shall we begin? Okay, I'm going to put some words up on the board, such as import, export, deport, report. We also have portable. Again, be careful of that pronunciation. It's not able or able, it's portable. Then we have porter. Again, it's not portage, as in the Turkish pronunciation. It's porter. In English, again, we don't have that hard R sound. In American English, they've got a slightly harder version, porter. But again, it's not really an R sound. Then we have support, and we have airport. Can anybody tell me what the root is being used in these words? I think everybody's actually disappeared. Well, the root that we're using is actually port. And port can be found in all of these words, and it gives each word, even though these words are very different from each other, the meaning of port can actually be found in each of these words. Port comes from the Latin word portare. Oh, there we go. Welcome, Irina. Welcome to what? Portland? Portland. That's in America. And that, well, I've already shown you. Whoops, the meaning of the word port means to carry. Let's go back to import. Do we remember what the prefix im means? It means into. So import, we're going to read it a little bit like Arabic. We start from the end and we work our way to the beginning in order to understand that word. So we know port means to carry, and we know im means into. So import means to carry into. Of course, Turkey imports technology from China and Japan into the borders of Turkey. If we go down to this example here, X. Do you remember what X means? X means out of. And again, port means to carry, so export means to carry out of. For example, Turkey exports tea and hazelnuts. They carry tea outside of Turkey to other countries. Deport, hopefully a lot of you won't know the meaning of this word. Please don't use your dictionaries yet. We're going to look at this word together very shortly to see if we can understand the meaning of this word without using a dictionary. Down here we have report. Re has two meanings. The first meaning was again, but the second meaning, as we saw later on in the second half of the first lesson, also means back. So report, carried back. And if we think about a reporter of a daytime, he goes out, he collects information, and he carries that information back to the office in order to write the paper. Here we have portable. And we know this suffix means ability, something which can be done. Carry, port, means to carry. Portable means can be carried. And we have a porter. Again, this suffix here, we can write ER, OR, and they're used to show people that do something, such as teacher, but also for machines that serve a particular function, such as photocopier. Here, a porter is someone who carries something. We often find porters at hotels, the people who carry our suitcases, for example. Now, sup, we've seen sup, not in this form, but we've seen it in its other form, sub. And as some of you may remember, sub means under or below. So we have support, to carry below. Support, destekvermek. If you think of someone, if we go back to the porter or to a waiter, someone who's carrying a tea, they keep that tea safe by holding it from below, by supporting that tray. And of course, here we have airport. Port again meaning to carry. Airport, a place where people go to be carried by air. Well, actually, hopefully not just by air, but by an aeroplane. Let's have another look. So I've given you some useful prefixes below from the last lesson. M meaning into, X meaning out of, D meaning away from. We'll be coming back to D very shortly. And then we have re and we have sub. So let's have a look at that word deport. If we take the word deport and we put into a meaningful sentence, we should be able to guess the meaning of that word without using a dictionary. So there's your meaningful sentence. There are many illegal immigrants living and working in America. As they are illegal, that as here, for those of you who don't know, means because. Because they are illegal, if they are caught by the police and arrested, they are often deported back to the country that they came from. Down below, we have that prefix D, which means away from. And we have that root port again, which means to carry. So can anybody guess what the word deport means? Well, deport means to be carried away from. So if you live in a country and you don't have, yurt dışına çıkartmak gibi bir şey. If you're living abroad and you're living illegally without any visa and the police catch you, what they will often do, they'll bring you back to the airport and you'll be carried away from that country, back to the country that you came from. Let's have a look at another set of roots. Matricide, patricide, homicide, genocide, pesticide, filicide, suicide, and herbicide. Can anybody guess the roots that we're using in these words? Very good, Swat. That's correct. Sınır dışı edilmek. Unfortunately, my Turkish isn't as good as yours, but it looks good. Very good, Irina. The actual roots we're using is side. Irina, could you? Very good, Asla. Very good, Swat. And what about the meaning of side? Can you guess the meaning? How are all of the very good, Fatih? Aferin. How are all of these words related? What's the meaning of side? Any ideas? Well, side actually means to kill. So if we go up to this word here, matricide, matri is also a root, and matri means mother. It's a Latin root, comes from madre. Matricide, of course, means to kill your mother, one of my favorite words. Here in the word below, very good Swabs, yep, kill 100%. Down here below we have patricide. Now in Turkish we have a very similar root, peder. And peder, of course, means father. And like in English, with our root system, patri, it has the same meaning because they both come from the same language. They come from the same roots. So patricide means to kill your father. Swat, you were correct with kill. Now we move down here with homicide. Homi comes from another root, homo. And homo has two meanings. In its Greek form, it can mean the same, but in its Latin form, it also means man. So homicide means to kill a man. Actually, if you like to watch American detective programs or English detective programs about murder, the detectives that investigate that murder or look for evidence regarding that murder, they often refer to themselves as being homicide detectives or murder detectives. Genocide, here we have another root. Gen means birth. Genocide. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, but basically genocide means to kill a nation or race of people. During the early parts of the 1900s, the Nazi Party committed atrocious acts of genocide against the Jewish people. Moving up here to pesticide. Again, we got side, which of course means to kill. Pest, noun form. Think of an animal or an insect that you don't like, that infests your house. Cockroach, mosquito, rats, mice. In English, we call these types of animals pests because they come into our households and they try to eat our food, or alternatively, they try to eat us. So a pesticide is something which kills these types of animals. Filicide, fili, comes from the Latin filius, meaning son, or filia, meaning daughter. So filicide means to kill your son or daughter. Now suicide is an interesting one. Again, we have side meaning to kill. Sui comes from the French meaning yourself. So suicide means to kill yourself. Don't forget, we're going to be reading them from back to front. Herbicide, of course, herbs meaning plants. A herbicide is maybe a chemical a gardener would use to kill particular flowers that he or she doesn't want in their garden. Let's look at another one. Dictionary. Actually, a nice easy one. Dictionary. Dictator. Again, it's dictator, not dictator. Dictator. Contradict. Not contradict, contradict. We have the same sound there. Dictator. Contradict. Predict. Retrodict. Vindictive. Dictate. And diction. Can anybody very quickly tell me the root that we're using here? I'll give you 5 seconds for that. Very good, Irina. Very good, Gukop. Gukop? The root that we're using here is actually dict. Well, okay, we found the root, but can you guess the meaning of that root? I'll give you another 5 seconds for that. Well, 10 seconds. Very good, Hilal. Yep, the root's dict. But what about the meaning? How are all of these words related? And it means to say, to speak, or to tell. Below I've put some prefixes here to help us as we're going through. But a dictionary is a book that tells us the meaning of a word. Dictator, again, someone who commands or controls people by telling them what to do. Contra means opposite. So contradict means to say the opposite of what you actually do. Then we have predict. Do you remember what pre means? Pre means before. So to predict. Yep, very good, Erin. Yep, to say welcome, welcome to the class. Predict means to say that something is going to happen before it actually happens. For example, in 2003, 2013, and 2015, many people, including scientists and Obama Barack, predicted that a pandemic would take place very soon. Then we have retrodict. Retrodict is a little bit more complicated to explain, but it means to talk about the past, to make assumptions about the past without any real evidence. We're just simply talking about the way in which life used to happen, but we don't have any, more like a theoretical approach to the past. Vindictive. Well, another word for vindictive would be spiteful or harmful. If someone is vindictive, they want to get revenge and hurt someone. Then we have dictate. Dictate means to read something aloud, to say something aloud, while someone else writes down that information. And then, of course, we have diction, which is the way in which we say, and which is the way in which we say a particular word. Let's move on to the next one. So to begin, we have attractive, then we have contract, then we have distract, then we have abstract, then we have extract, then we have protract, then we have detract, and finally we have tractor. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds there. Feel free to put it up in the comments. Can anybody tell me the root that we're using here? Who else do we have? Aslı Eren, hello. Tract, very good, Swat. That's the root that we're using here. Very good, Aslı. Very good, Irena. Excellent. Good to see people participating. Okay, so we found the actual root, but can you tell me the meaning of that root? How is attractive and tractor related? Any ideas? I'll just quickly go through these again whilst you're waiting because we've got slight lag. So we've got not attractive, it's We've got that same sound again, like teacher, attractive. We have contract, distract, abstract. Here we have an odd A, In attractive, we had a soft mid-tone A, and here we have an odd one, abstract. Then we have extract, not region Swat. You're very, ooh, Eren, very, very good. Well done. It means to pull, to pull. So if we have a look at the word attractive, means to. Do I have anything else there? There we go. I put some at the bottom for you. This isn't in the list, but means to. So tract. And then we have if from the first lesson. Likely to, or to go to. So attractive, if you think of someone who is very attractive or that you are attracted to, they pull you towards them. Contract we can use in biology. Your heart is made up of a number of muscles. Con means together. To contract is when the muscles in your heart pull together. It also has a second meaning, sözleşme. And here again, with a contract in that sense, we need more than one or two people. In order for a contract to take place, we need at least two people, and it's where they come or they're pulled together. Distract. Dis from the first lesson. Okay, it's negative, but it has an idea of being away from, moving away from. So to distract means to pull someone's attention away from something that they're doing. If I'm reading a book and my friend is listening to loud music, I find it very difficult to focus on reading the book. His music is distracting me. Then we have this word here, abstract. Ab means from. Abstract means to pull from. At the back of a book, if you like reading books, at the back of a book, they have a small part about the book. We can call that the abstract. Ex is a prefix that we saw earlier too. It has two meanings. The first means former, but it also means out of. To extract, to pull out. If you go to the dentist and you have a really, really bad tooth, like I do, the dentist may decide to pull that tooth out or extract that tooth. Then we have protract, a bit of a complicated word, but if we look at that prefix, we know what that prefix means from earlier. It means forward, down here at the bottom of your screen. So protract means to pull forward. We can use this in two ways. We can use it to talk about making time longer, to prolong time. But we can also use it maybe for our arms. If I just quickly turn on the computer screen, on the camera, I don't think I can. You know, to protract means to lengthen your arm out, like this. Detract, well, D means down. So detract means to pull down. Technically speaking, it means to take value or worth away from something. So if you imagine two people getting married, it's a really, really happy day. But if you have rain and dark clouds in the sky, sometimes that can actually make the day seem a little bit bad. So the husband and groom, although the weather was dark and gloomy, this did not detract from their happiness. And of course, tractor we have in Turkish too. Of course, in English we don't say traktor because we don't have an R. This ER or OR is pronounced So we have tractor, a machine which pulls things on the farm. Let's go to the next one. Roots. Spectator, inspector, respect, aspect, spectacular, spectrum, spectacles, spectre. Any ideas what the root is here? Well, the root is actually spect. Very good, Swat. Very good, Gokub. Spot on, 100%. What about the meaning? Could you tell me the meaning of this root? Very quickly. Very good, Usla. What about the meaning? Oh, not bad, Swat. Very good, Eren. Yeah, spot on. But that was a very good attempt, Swat. Not bad at all. It means to see or to look. So if we go up here, we have spectator. Again, we got that sound. A spectator is someone who watches or looks at a sporting event. We have an inspector, mufetish, someone who looks into something happening, such as a police inspector. They investigate, they look into a crime. Then we have respect. I'm not going to discuss re here. Technically, re here means back, but of course we know respect as a modern word means to look up to. A, in aspect, this prefix here means one. So aspect means to look from one side. Then we have spectacular. Here we have an adjective form. And if something is spectacular, then it looks amazing. Of course, language changes. Spectacular these days, we don't just use it for something which looks good, but we also use it to say that something is good. We could use it maybe for good news. They have discovered a vaccination for COVID-19. Wow, that's spectacular, man. Then we have spectrum. And of course, spectrum, we're looking at electromagnetism, the colors of the rainbow. Spectacles, it's an old word for glasses, and of course, glasses is something that we use to see or to look. And spectre, another not really old word, but not a very popular word these days. A spectre is like a visible apparition of a ghost, or I don't know, like a witch or a vampire. You've done very well so far. I'm impressed. Well done, Gulshan. Yep, to see. So let's move on. Abduct. Educate. By the way, once you find the root, feel free to put it up as soon as you can. You don't need to wait for me to answer the question. There's a 15-second lag between these. So we have educate, introduce, conduct, product, ductile, deduce, and reproduce. I'll go through those one more time. Abduct, educate, introduce, conduct, product, ductile, deduce, and reproduce. I've got 3 syllables there. Very, very good, Swat. Well done. We have duct. But can you tell me what it means? Any ideas? It's a very, very difficult one. Yep, actually, Swat. No, duct's correct. It does come from the Latin ducere. So you're close. It's a Latin word. Very good, Usler. But what about the meaning? Okay, well, I'll tell you. I'm sure you'll write your responses up very shortly. It means to lead. So let's go up to abduct. Ab, of course, as we know, means from. Not bad, Aaron. Not bad at all. To guide, we could actually consider it to be synonymous with that. So to abduct, to lead someone away from somewhere. Sometimes people will go and take children that don't belong to them. They abduct children. Educate, this E here means to or through. To educate means to lead through, which is pretty much what a teacher does. They start from one point and they lead their students through another point and they educate them. Intro means into. So introduce means to be led into something. At the beginning of a essay or at the beginning of a book, we often have a introduction. Then we have conduct. Again, con means together. Conduct, to lead together. If we think about a conductor in music with an orchestra, a conductor, what does he do? He leads the orchestra together. Then we have products, or sorry, excuse me. And we have this idea of forward again from the previous lesson. So product means to be led forward. We could look at maybe a simple, if we look at a factory, the life of a Coca-Cola bottle. At the very beginning, it's empty. Then it moves forward to the next phase. It gets filled up with Coca-Cola. Then it moves to the next phase. A lid is put on top. Then it moves or it's led to the next phase, forward, that is. in which it's put into boxes and then from the factory it's moved forward to the consumer market. Ductile, ooh, sorry, there's loads of stupid sounds coming out of me today. Ductile has a number of meanings, but here I want to focus on the meaning of maybe a child, someone who is very impressionable, someone who is very easily manipulative. They are easily led. So that would be ductile, a ductile child. Then we have deduce. Do you remember what D means? It means down or away from. A police detective makes deductions. He leads information away from the evidence that he has. And of course, down here we have reproduce. We have two prefixes here. We have re, meaning again, and we have pro, meaning forward. So reproduce, such as rabbits, reproduce at a very, very quick rate. I think we've got enough time to squeeze one more in. Incredible, credit, credence, or credence, credible, credulous, nice word that, discredit, creed, and then we have credential. Any guesses here as to what the root being used is? Very good, Swat, from. But what about? Ooh, very close, Jeran. Very, very close. Almost. I'll accept that. It's actually cred. And can anybody guess what the meaning? Very good, Gulshan. Can anybody guess the meaning of this word? The meaning of this root, sorry. Very good, Swat. The meaning of this root is to believe. And incredible at the top there is a very good example. Incredible. It's a nice way to remember the meaning of this root because incredible in Turkish, inanılmaz, inanmak, to believe. So if we read it from right to left again, we have the ability, able, at the very end, able, and we've got believe, and then we have that negative prefix in, something which cannot be believed in. If we move down one, we have credit. It is an old Latin word. Itere means to come or go. We have it in the word exit, for example. Again, ex, if you remember, means out of. Exit means to go out of. Here, credit. Well, how is it related to believe? Well, people, banks, for example, they give you credits because they believe you're going to pay them back. Then we have credence. A credence basically means a belief or an acceptance of something as true. As an example, if we look at Trump supporters in America, they have a particular credence towards his ideas. That's to say that they have a tendency to believe what Trump says. Credible, again, we have this ubl suffix down here. Credible can be believed. It's actually the positive form of incredible at the top. If we move to the second column to the top, we have this word credulous, and that suffix there, us. Again, it's not us, it's us, credulous. That basically means it's an adjective we can use for people who are very easily and very quickly willing to believe in the information that they are given. And we could use Trump supporters again. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, he recommended some medication, and a lot of his supporters gone, great, that's what we should be taking. Even without questioning him, they believed that what he was saying was true, and they were very quick to believe. Discredit, well, if we give credit to someone, to discredit would be the opposite, to take credit away from. Creed, the word below, it's what we use for more religious beliefs or religious systems such as Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. They are all forms of creed. And credentials. There's the paperwork that you need to show a government officer. For example, if you go to a bank to get credit, they will often ask you for credentials. They'll ask you for paperwork to help them believe that you're going to give that money back. Let's go to the next one. Convene, venue, revenue, event, invention, adventure, prevent, and venturesome. Any idea what the root that we're using here is? Oop, there I am. Come back. Well, there we go, Jaren. Well done. Very, very quick. And that's the root that we're using. Actually, we've got two roots here. They both have exactly the same meaning. They're a variation of each other. We have vene and we have vent. But what about its meaning? Very, very good, Swat. Very good, Gushan. Have I missed anybody else? What about its meaning? What does it mean? A little bit difficult. It means to come or to go. Again, if we start up in the not bad connection, okay, almost. If we look at the word convene to begin with on the left hand side, if you remember from the previous lesson, con means together. Convene, well, means to come together. If you have a party, people convene together. A venue is a place where people come together. So Babylon in Taksim used to be a venue. Revenue, re, means back. Revenue is the money that you get back, especially if you're a company. If you're a company, you expect money to be coming back to you. You invest in a particular idea and then you have money that comes back to you, and we call this revenue. Another word would be maybe income. Come into being. We have adventure. Ad means out. So if you go on an adventure, you're going to go out for the day. Prevent. Pre means before. So prevent means to come before something, to stop something from happening by preventing it. And then we have venturesome below. Is someone who is very venturesome. Someone who's not afraid to do something. Someone who's very active. They like to go out and they do things without worrying about it. Let's do one more before we go. And then we'll probably complete the rest next week. So let's have a look. We have evidence. We have video. We have vision. We have envision. We have advise. We have visit. We have provide. And we also have revise. I'm going to give you a second or two to think about that. Can anybody tell me what the root is? Can I have a quick look at the chat, see what's happening? Not much. Oh, there we go. Vid. Very good, Swat. Bang. Spot on. Excellent. Vid or viz. So what about the meaning then, Swat? We found the root, but what does the root mean? Very, very good to see. Spot on, Swat. You've done very, very well. So we have this word up here, evidence. Of course, when policemen or detectives, when they're investigating a crime, they are looking for stuff that they can see. A video, well, I don't think I need to explain this one too much, but we can see what we have recorded. Vision, the ability to see. Then we have envision. A synonym of envision is to imagine. Another important word if you want to study TOEFL. Then we have advise. When you advise someone, of course, you see particular problems that may occur or may come up in the future. So we give advice appropriately. Visit, we have that root again, itere, meaning to go. Visit means to go and see, to visit someone. When you visit someone, you go to see them. Provide, a little bit more difficult, this one actually, a little bit more difficult to understand than the others. But pro means forward, vid means to see. So to provide means to see forward. That's to say, if someone needs something, then you are able to see forward as to what it is they actually need and make sure that they have everything that's necessary. Re means back or again. Here, re means again. So to revise means to see again. Boom. And we've come to the end of our lesson today. Thank God. Thank you for your patience. I apologize for any technical problems that we had. Hopefully next week, if I return, we will have less problems and we'll be able to do this much more smoothly. Everybody stay safe. I think that goes without saying. Enjoy the time that you have with your family and with your friends. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Study hard. Bye bye.